To our tutorial this afternoon on a traditional Christmas wreath on a floral foam base, and I'd like to thank the Design and Crafts Council of Ireland for inviting me to do this video for you all, and I hope that you will gain some tips and maybe have a go at trying to do your own. Because this tutorial is going out to so many people, I felt that the easiest way to explain was to show you how to make a wreath or a welcome ring on a foam ring. This is for fresh flowers. It's floral foam and it's in a plastic base. And to start, you have to soak that. So you need to turn it upside down in a basin of water for about 5 minutes, and you'll see the bubbles coming up, and then you can take it out, and if you don't use it immediately, store it in a plastic bag and it will keep for a very, very long time once it stays moist. The one thing I will say to you is that if you don't use it and you let it dry out, or you're reusing an old one, it won't work because it will not reabsorb water. Now, as I have only 30 minutes to do this, I'm going to fly through it. Now, first of all, no, I forgot to do that. I think it's probably easier if you chamfer the corners. So that means taking off the outside, bare little sliver all around the outside of the foam ring, because it can be easier to put in the foliage that you're going to be using. And I'm going to do a little bit on the inside also. Now there's loads and loads of ways to do this, so I'm just doing one, a very basic one this way, that can be also used, instead of putting it on a door, it can be used for a grave, or it can be used as a centerpiece for a table. So it's up to yourselves what way you would like to do it, but or use it. But it's the same basic principle. So I've just chamfered the corners of that. Now, to hang it on the door, you need to be able to secure it. And I find that if you just put wire or string, it'll be like a cheese knife or cheese wire, and it will cut through your oasis. So a good thing is to get a piece of ribbon similar to what you're going to be using and attach it with a good knot onto this. And then when you're hanging it on the door, depending on the type of door you have, you can take off the excess at the back, get either some more ribbon of the same that you're going to use as your decoration, and stick to the same color scheme right through, and you can put some lighter ribbon, this little thin ribbon, underneath the knot so that you can bring it up and in over your door. Otherwise, you can, PVC doors, some of them have a hook you can put over the door. So whatever type of door you have to have it that it's secure. These are quite heavy when they're done, and they drip quite a bit. So you have to allow for that. And sometimes it might be a good idea to put something at the back to stop it from damaging your door. Now, that's the basic framework of this done. So now I have one started here, and as I was saying, now you pretend you don't see the red ribbon here. You can use it on a table with a big pillar candle in the center, or a lantern, or whatever you wish, which can look very, very nice. And if you put it on one of these plastic charger plates, so that you don't damage your table also. And also you have the nice red or gold or whatever colour scheme you're using coming through the centre. And it's a lovely gift to give somebody also. So that's just another idea. So we'll pop him out of the way. And let's get over my box of tricks. So hopefully you can see this now. I'm just, all the movement now, they tend to, some of them tend to come out. So on this, I have used as my outline plant material, I have used the Abies nobilis, which is the non-shed Christmas tree, which is this lovely blue conifer, and the back is quite nice also. So it's a lovely, nice, traditional Christmas tree, I suppose. Although now they're using a different type called Nordman fir, which is slightly different to this. So I have these little pieces which are about, not that long, and making sure as I'm putting them in, I'll just show you now. I'll just cut off my branch. So you just have to take off a little piece about so big, and make sure that you clean off the stem end with all the needles on it, and make sure there's no lumpy bits or a heel or anything before you put it in to the floral foam. So I'll just find a little space here now, and I'll put that little guy in so he fits. So the first thing you do then is you go all around the perimeter of it with the Abies nobilis, or whatever conifer you want to use yourself. It doesn't have to be this. And then I have done the same in the center, overlapping all these pieces around in a circle to give just to give the center a definition. And then I have my flower scissors and secateurs handy here. We can go with some short little pieces and a compost bucket. I'm a compost as much as I possibly can. Just going to put in little pieces now. Now there's a bit with a heel, so that's not a good trick. So I'll take off all the bits and make sure it's nice and tidy. And I'm putting some pieces up and down, different angles, to give it a bit of depth, really. Now, you don't have to use, as I say, this foliage, and little small bits, so it's a case of waste not, want not. I'm afraid that's the way I was brought up. And normally when I'm planning to do something like this, I go out into my garden, I go around with the wheelbarrow and the scissors or the secateurs, and I pick whatever takes my fancy at the time. And it's amazing at the different times of year how you view the plant material that's in your garden. And you get to know lots of nice people by asking them, could you have a little bit of this or a little bit of that to use in your flower arranging. Now, I'm a member of Eva, which is the Association of Irish Floral Artists, and we have a lot of flower clubs all over Ireland, and it's a lovely organisation to be involved in, because it's our motto is friendship through flowers. And I'm the chairperson now for this year, well, this year that didn't really happen due to COVID, of Kilkenny Flower Club. And we meet every month, and we have just competition, and we have a demonstrator, and it's just a super organisation to be involved in. So if any of you don't know about Eva, check it out in your local area and see. Hopefully we will be back. I probably think it will be next September before things maybe will get back to normal, but hopefully with the vaccine it might be a little bit earlier than that. Now I'm just popping in these little bits of conifer, which is another lovely conifer to grow in your garden, and it's quite a large tree but it's very slow to grow. Of course I picked out the right one. It's called Thuja zebrina, Thuja zebrina, and it's a lovely gold colour, so it gives the whole thing a lift. And I'm just popping in little bits of that willy-nilly as well, all around, just to make sure that the colour is going right through the design. Now I don't put in bits that are too big, because if this is hanging on your door and we happen to get a storm, we could be in bother, because it could be all in the next parish if you put in bits that are too heavy. And also they might break the oasis or the floral foam. We call it Oasis because that was the first brand name to come out. Now, just going to hold it up there to let you see. We've a little bit of gold going right through it with the conifer. Put another little bit down here because there's a little bit of a space. Now, okay, next on the agenda, I have a whole box of bits and pieces that are suitable here. And when I was asked to do this, I was given, the list went out to everybody that was doing the Zoom tutorial. And that's what I'm going to try and use are the plant material and the bits that were on that. So this is another lovely, this is a little pine. Now, I should know the name of this, but I don't really. I have it in my garden. I planted it about 10 years ago and it's not very large. And it's near where I feed my birds and they love it because they have great cover in it from the cats, which is a help because the cats tend to ambush them quite a bit. So it's a happy medium. We have to try and keep a happy medium with cats and the birds. And this year I fed lots of Niger seeds, started feeding Niger seeds. And I must say the cats, or the goldfinches absolutely love them. And they're great. That's gorgeous to see them, the colours. I mean, nature is just amazing, the colour schemes we have in nature. And it's great to be able to do that with flower arranging also. Bring in all these colours and bits that you have in your garden and put them to use in your flower arranging. Now I'm going to pop that up with a little bits of pine in it. Okay, we're just filling in so we don't see the floral foam in the centre of the ring. Okay, now what else am I in my box of tricks? Quite a bit. Now there's lots and lots of different types of holly. And holly is quite angular and awkward to use unless you use little small pieces. This is a holly I don't know the name of. Where I live, we have a very old house, and this was here when I came here, out in a field, and the cattle had eaten all the grass and all the branches up about 10 feet up the stem. So eventually I got to move it out onto the side of the avenue and give it a little bit of life. So I can, but I have to get the ladder out to go and cut it, which is great fun. And I usually beg my husband to do that. So holly, I must try and propagate it because it's a lovely one. And if anything happens to that one, I won't have it. Now this is a little plant. I'm going to put a little bit of this gold one in because it's a different texture. And textures are very important in flower arranging. And it stops the thing being a bit boring really. If you're just all holly or all different, the same conifer. This is a little plant that you see for sale everywhere outside supermarkets. It's called Cryptomeria Goldcrest. Not Cryptomeria, beg your pardon. It's Cupressus Goldcrest. It's member of them. It's, I suppose, Golden Macrocarpa would be the common name for it, I think. That's if they haven't changed it, as they're changing all these names. And there's a gorgeous scent. I love the smell, but it's not a tree for a small garden. It gets quite large. And you want to keep a tight eye on it because it will get big. It's sold as a little plant to put into containers with for outside your door or window boxes and stuff. So just be careful when you plant it into the garden that you keep a tight eye and don't let it get too large. Now one thing I forgot to say was it's a good idea not to have cut ends visible, because it can make the thing look a bit, won't look that well when you see a cut end. And a cut end, by that I mean where you've cut off the nice piece and you're left with this bit. Unless you can hide it very well down into the design, which you probably could do in something like this if you wanted to, because it's not very, there's a lot of foliage in it and it's going to be fairly dense with colour. Now, that's just a little bit of the other conifer into it, going right around. Now, these are all conifers so far, so I think we need a different shape of plant material next. So out and about around the ditches are ivy berries, and they're beautiful. You can get a huge array of ivy berries, from black ones, green ones, and all kinds in between. And they look lovely because they're a different shape. So I'm going to just cut off a few of the little pieces and I'm going to pop them in. Now with the ivy berries, if you want to have a little bit of bling in this, you can buy this spray glue in any of the shops, and you can just give a little bit of spray to the ivy berries. But if you're doing this on a large scale, put them all together and do it in the one place. Otherwise you will be wasting what you're doing. Now can I see the little holes? And then you just get, I'm just going to go over the bin to do this. So you can put a little bit of glitter on the ivy berries to put them in to the design. I'm just going to leave him over there for a minute. I'm going to stick with the natural look, I think, for today. Just looking for the rest of them. Where have they gone hiding? Oh, they've come out. I have so much stuff in the box I can't see. Now, here's the ivy again. So just going to put a few little pieces of this. One there. Let's stick another little one there. A little bit there. Oh. I think that's all I have. I'll have to go and I picked loads of that. Anyway, there's 3 little pieces in, so I'm going to make them equidistant so that it just looks a bit more normal. Now another lovely conifer to put into this too is the Thuya Rheingold, which I'm sure a lot of you have in your gardens, and it's got a lovely texture also. Now the other thing I'm going to put in here is, sorry about the noise now, is Skimmia. Skimmia are a lovely shrub, and you see them a lot in pots outside doors and in the garden as well. It's a slow growing shrub, and it has that lovely red flower on it, which this one doesn't produce berries now. And this is I'm not sure actually, because there's so many different skimmias there now, and I always take cuttings whenever I see one, and I grow more and I put them in. But isn't it beautiful? Lovely red little, and it's got lovely foliage around it also, and that highlights the shape of the berries in it. Now I'll just pop that up just to let you see how we're going with the bits of skimmia. And these are for sale around every supermarket now. You'd see them, and it's no harm if you see one, and if you don't have one growing in the garden, buy one, and you can cut the flowers off, and then you can plant it into a pot or into the garden and keep it until next year, and then you can use it again, and you're not doing it any harm by giving it a little prune. Just take off the little flowers, and they're not expensive, and they're lovely, as I say, in a pot, because they give good winter colour. The only thing is with them in the garden, they don't really like that much lime in the ground, so you have to give them a bit more acid soil to grow in when you plant them out in the garden. I'm going to turn this around to myself now so I can put in a few more little bits around the outside. The thing with these wreaths is when you hang them, they tend to drip quite a bit. So, you know, the oasis or the floral foam will dry out. So it's a good idea to take it down every so often, if you can remember, and put it on the draining board and pour some water over the frame, just so that you can let it have the foliage could have a good drink, because otherwise it will dry out. And when it's out in the elements on a door, it tends to dry out also with the wind blowing on it. Just have a few little gaps in here now to fill in. Now, I just want to just peep in here now. There's one guy there who's gone a bit astray. Put him at more of an angle just so that we can keep the centre. Now, there we have our skimmia. And this is the top, so this is the way it will be hanging. Now, a few little holes here, but we have plenty of more bits and pieces to put in. Let me see, what else have I? I did say to you about holly being very angular and awkward. Now, I have a lovely holly, which is a super one to grow. And it's called, it's just a green holly, and it has lovely berries, and they're usually growing in the correct place on the stem, and you can cut it down to suit. They're lovely, and it's not prickly. It's a holly called J.C. Van Tol, J.C. Van Tol, and it's a self-fertile holly. Now, I'm contradicting myself in telling you that you shouldn't have a cut end, but I don't want these to be too big. So I'm just going to pop in a few little bits of this, and we'll try and camouflage the cut end with something else. And again, I'm being careful not to have any heel or anything like that. Big bits of holly will fall out on you. You see how there's an awful lot of green at the top of this. So I'm just going to cut down into the branch and just take off the little bits. There's another little one. Where did I put that one there? I will turn him down the way so you mightn't see it quite as much. And I'm going to clean off the stem again. The only problem is with doing all this, your hands are in a bad state by Christmas. It's quite hard on the hands, and it's difficult to work with. Well, I find it difficult to work with gloves. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Look at all the berries on that, and it never fails. And this year the birds haven't touched them for some reason. So there's still loads of them there. And the same last year, the berries were still on the tree in March or April. Now, my time is running away here, so I think that's about enough greenery and doodly-doos in it. So now I'm going to show you how to add in some other bits. And into this, I'm going to put in some of the oranges, dried oranges. Now, I didn't dry these myself, but you can do it in the bottom of a very slow oven or in and let them dry. Put them on parchment paper. Don't use the mandarins, use the other solid little oranges. And you just put one on top of the other. And these are florist wires. This is a 19 gauge green coated wire, and it's perfect for this job. And you just put a wire down through the two and give a little twist at the base, and then twist the orange, not the wire. And then you need a wire cutters because you don't want to ruin your scissors or your secateurs by doing this. And I'm just going to put in some of these around the rim. Also, get the top now. Where am I going? I'll put one there. It's up to yourself really if you want to use baubles, bells, ribbons, keep it natural. You know, everybody has their own preference for doing something like this. So I'm just going to show you now with that much, with the oranges in, okay? And this is the top. Now you can also group those oranges together in two together, maybe, and something else. So we'll leave those two in for starters. And because also I have cinnamon sticks. Now these are the short cinnamon sticks, and I've put 3 of them together. And with garden twine, I have tied them in little bundles. And then again with a florist wire, I put it through the string at the back of the bundle and bring it down and twist, give one little twist and then twist the bundle of cinnamon sticks and knot the wire so that they have a little leg on them so that it's easy to put them into the floral foam, and hopefully they will remain in there until you take them out, and hopefully you can dry them again. And if you store them away in silica gel until next year, let them dry out before you put them away, you'll be able to keep them for next year. I wouldn't think the oranges would survive. And then I think sometimes birds tend to have a go at the wreath. I need another one of those. Now, saying that, you can also tie them in this very narrow ribbon. Little ribbon, you can tie them in little bundles. If you want to do a different colour scheme, you can do it that way. So I'm going back to my, oh, it's not the one with the string, let's get one with string on it. Yeah, there we are. But this is keeping this one natural. Now, we'll turn that up and we'll let you have a look. Now there we have with the cinnamon sticks, okay? Next now we need to put in maybe some cones. Now fir cones come in a myriad of varieties. This side is this ones, these ones, and you can buy other ones, and you can buy ones that are glittered, and you can glitter your own. So there's a whole lot of different types. And this one here I particularly like. It's from the redwood tree, and it's a big tree near us here in the woods in Jenkinstown, and it's a lovely cone. And some of them tend to close up when they get wet. For instance, this type of cone tends to close up when they get wet, and these ones don't do it quite as bad. So I prefer to use these type, and I like the colour on this one because it's kind of similar to the cinnamon sticks. So I'm just going to give this a twirl around, and I'm going to put in a few facing out to the edge as I go around at the top. Now I want to leave room for a ribbon, so we don't want to put too much in here, otherwise there won't be space. And I'm going with the shape of the ring, and you can, if they're too long, you can bend back the wires and then you get them in, and it's easy. Then you can take them back out and dry them and use them again next year. And so I think a lot of people forget that you can do this, and they tend to just compost or put it in the bin, which is an awful pity really, because you can reuse. And also, if you wish, you can reuse the frame, and by taking out the old foam when this is finished and putting it in, taking out the old foam, cleaning the ring, and if you get a block of floral foam, soak it, and you can cut it into little sections and pop it into the ring. And it doesn't have to be totally circular, you won't get it that shape, just put little blocks, and then you get something called anchor tape or florist tape from your florist or garden centre, and you can secure each block in, and then you can do the same thing. And that works very well for putting wreaths on graves and that, because I hate waste, and I hate to see all these things put in the bin and not reused if at all possible, because it's just polluting the countryside. Now there we have more cones in. Now I haven't put any bling in this at all. So you can, if you wish, put baubles, and you can wire little bells and things like that if you wish. Just have these little gold bells. I'm just going to stick a few of those in. These are, you pick up these things around the place, and People say, well, what will I do with that and how will I use it? So florist wires are essential for doing this job, because you need them for so many ways of doing it. Now, I'm not really a blingy person, but anyway, some of these are dull and some of them are shinier, so we'll just put in a few. And you could now, because this has a bit of gold, a gold ribbon, you could put a red ribbon, you can put whatever colour ribbon you wish. And if you have, you can also use lotus seed heads, and these you wire by putting a wire through the base and giving it a twist. And you can make those, spray those, or put glitter on them also if you wish. And I find that kebab sticks are extremely helpful for putting onto little baubles like that. And you can stick them in then, and you can keep broken ones also, and you can glue them in with a glue gun, put the kebab sticks into them. Now that's little bells. We have little bells in that now. Time is fine, so I'll have to get fast at this now. I need one more little bell. Over here I see a space. Okay, that's the bells. You can also use, these are limes, dried limes. You can use those in here also if you wish. And you can use whole oranges, but they're quite big. And then sometimes you buy these bunches of glittery bits, and you can take them all apart and use the little stems to stick in also. So you can break things up. Don't look at them as being just as to use them the way they are. You can dismantle things and have a bit of fun. It's because you get sick of looking at the same thing all the year round, so do something a little bit different with it. I've had this one a long time, and there's a nice texture on them. The one thing I will also say about these artificial decorations you put in, some of them, when they get wet, lose their coating and they look absolutely terrible. They look pink. So try and buy ones that are glass, not plastic or polystyrene covered. And I will show you now what I mean by that. These are things called picks that you can buy anywhere, and these are coated in plastic, and if that gets wet, it'll all, if you want to put some of those in, it'll all come off and it'll be a pink mess. So you go for the ones that are more glass covered, that don't peel off if you can. That's just a little tip really. I just want one more of these guys if I can get them off. Sometimes they just peel off. Just want to put a couple more around the side. Okay, so here we have with most of the gold and the fruit and everything in, and I'm just going to show you how to make a quick bow. And I have some of this Hessian type red ribbon here, and it's a piece about that long, and this is two-sided, so it's very simple. Now you can use whatever type of bow you want. This has slightly wired edge on it. This is a very simple bow. So you just have, and you make a figure of 8, and you put this bit back here, and you give it a scrunch up in the middle, and you get your wire, and you put the wire around the middle of the bow, and you pull up the ribbon, and you twist this wire, and you have 2 legs, and then you scrunch out the 2 loops of the bow, and then you can add this in at the top or at the bottom, wherever you wish, into your floral foam. And we'll just pop him in there and push him down a little bit. Because I used red ribbon already, I'm using this. Now I can chamfer the ends of this. This ribbon tends to fray, that's the only difficulty. And it's but it's kind of rustic looking, so. And because it's traditional, we have to go for the red and the green. So there we have a simple bow. Now you can make a very fancy bow for this also, if you wish. So that's the finished wreath to hang on your door with your ribbon up at the back. This is a bow I have made from before, which is a double bow with wired ribbon with a gold edge. So you can do that very simply by making the same for the back and then a small piece. And you can also make a tail for your wreath so that it looks like the whole lot is coming down. So thank you all very much for watching this tutorial.